US President Donald Trump made a statement about progress regarding the resolution of the war in Ukraine. During a meeting with representatives of Central Asian countries at the White House, he said that his administration had already brokered a peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan. He emphasized that this is one of 8 wars that the US has ended in 8 months.
We are striving to end another one, if possible, between Russia and Ukraine. We haven't achieved that yet, but I believe we have made significant progress.
Responding to a question about the effectiveness of the sanctions imposed on Russia, Trump noted that Russian oil exports have dropped significantly and expressed hope that this would help bring the war in Ukraine to an end. At the same time, Ukraine is engaged in positive negotiations to purchase Tomahawk missiles and other long-range weapons. This is happening despite the fact that Donald Trump has made it clear he does not yet plan to send them to Kyiv. This was reported by Ukraine's ambassador to the US, Olga Stefanishina, on the Balance of Power program on Bloomberg TV.
It's not just about Tomahawk missiles, but also various types of other long and short-range missiles. And I can only say that this is quite positive.
She emphasized that the discussions are still ongoing, but Ukraine has many delegations working to increase financial resources for purchasing additional military equipment from the US. Responding to a question about Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure in recent weeks, Stefanishina emphasized that this is definitely a very difficult period for Ukraine. She also added, any easing of pressure on Russia will be seen as giving it the green light to expand its capabilities. US Presidential Special Envoy Steve Witkoff also reported that there has been progress in resolving the war in Ukraine. According to him, in the United States, Russia's war against Ukraine is considered one of the most important to resolve, and there has been certain progress in addressing it. Witkoff added that the war in Ukraine should be resolved after Gaza.
Hungary's only oil giant is ready to stop buying Russian oil. The Hungarian oil company MOL has stated that it can purchase most of its oil from non-Russian sources. As reported by Bloomberg, the statement was made on the eve of a meeting between US President Donald Trump and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Washington, where sanctions against Russian oil will be discussed. The company, which operates oil refineries in Hungary and Slovakia, reported that it can obtain up to 80% of its oil from alternative sources via a pipeline from Croatia if Russian oil supplies through Ukraine are halted. According to Bloomberg analysts, this is a turning point after months of rhetoric from Orban, who had claimed that Hungary had no alternative to Russian oil when it comes to energy. Pressure on the Hungarian Prime Minister was exerted in particular by the policies of US President Donald Trump. A week earlier, the American leader stated that he would not make an exception for Hungary regarding sanctions. Recently, Viktor Orban has been losing support even among the Hungarian population. According to Hungarian media, a crisis is growing within Hungary's ruling party. The root cause is that, for the first time, Orban has a strong opponent, Péter Magyar. In addition, as the Polish publication Rzeczpospolita writes, Viktor Orban's Hungarian economic model is experiencing a deep crisis. According to the publication, the average Hungarian has already become poorer than citizens of Romania and even Russia. This means that in April 2026, for the first time in a decade and a half, Orban could lose the election.
The Azerbaijani army will be brought up to NATO standards. This was announced by the country's president, Ilham Aliyev, during a meeting with a delegation from the alliance. The head of state emphasized that the Azerbaijani army is being aligned with NATO standards and in this context is closely cooperating with the Turkish army, according to a press release. Recently, the parties signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at strengthening mutual military security. Aliyev noted that Azerbaijan's relations with NATO go beyond the military sphere. The agenda also includes issues of regional development, energy security, and other areas of cooperation. At the meeting, prospects for further cooperation and current regional challenges were discussed. In addition, Azerbaijan is rearming its army and modernizing its air defense systems. For example, before the military parade in Baku, new air defense missile systems produced by China were shown for the first time. Specifically, this refers to the Chinese FD-2000B surface-to-air missile system. Previously, such systems had not been observed in the country's armed forces, according to Union Siding Militarnia. The appearance of the Chinese air defense missile system in Azerbaijan's arsenal indicates a strengthening of military technical cooperation between the two countries. Previously, Baku had not reported the acquisition of this system. However, in 2018, Azerbaijan expressed interest in it while commenting on similar purchases by Pakistan. At that time, the system was considered as an alternative to the Russian S-300, which was already in service with the Azerbaijani army. The authors explained that Azerbaijan's air defense consists of several layers of protection. They have Russian Tor M2 and S-300 systems, as well as the Israeli Barak 8 system. They believe that the Chinese FD-2000B could make this network more flexible and multi-layered.
On November 6, drones from the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine attacked a key enterprise of the aggressor country Russia in the Republic of Bashkortostan. According to the agency, the UAVs successfully struck the Sterlitamak petrochemical plant. This is one of the main enterprises in the petrochemical industry of the aggressor state. The main intelligence directorate notes that the plant produces goods for the needs of the Russian occupation army and the military-industrial complex, including in particular anol, aviation gasoline, and synthetic polymers. According to intelligence reports,
as a result of the strike on the enemy petrochemical facility, a fire broke out in the workshop that produces agidol, an additive for aviation gasoline.
Russians are not welcome in Europe. The European Commission has banned the issuance of multiple entry visas to citizens of the Russian Federation. This was stated in an official announcement on the agency's website. It is noted that the reason for tightening the rules for issuing visas to Russians is the increased security risks due to Russia's unprovoked aggression against Ukraine, as well as Moscow's use of migration as a weapon, acts of sabotage, and potential visa abuse. According to the new restrictions, Russians will no longer be able to obtain multiple entry visas. The statement explained.
This means that Russian citizens will have to submit a new visa application every time they plan a trip to the EU, which will allow for thorough and frequent checks of applicants in order to reduce any potential security risks.
As noted by European Commission Vice President Kaja Kallas, Europe is currently facing unprecedented disturbances and acts of sabotage involving drones on the territory of European countries. She emphasized that from now on, travel to the EU and free movement within its territory is a privilege for Russian citizens, not an automatic right. As reported by Reuters, Russia's hybrid war against Europe is becoming increasingly apparent. Since the beginning of September, Russian drones and fighter jets have been violating the airspace of European countries more and more frequently, leading to restrictions on the operations of local airports. Drones have been detected in Belgium, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Germany, and a number of other countries. One of the most high-profile Russian provocations was the incident in Poland on the night of September 10th. At that time, around 20 Russian drones entered the country's airspace, forcing NATO to deploy its fighter jets.
Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov turned out to come from a spy family with a Bolshevik past, according to the publication Projekt. Despite being the only Kremlin official who is always in the public eye, this has not prevented him from keeping his origins in the very elite of Soviet society a secret for decades. In Peskov's family tree, the Communist Party and the KGB are intertwined. His ancestors were held in high esteem under Lenin, Stalin, and Brezhnev, the publication notes. In Peskov's official biography published by the TASS agency, there is not a single word about his mother. It only states that he was born into the family of Soviet and Russian diplomat Sergei Peskov. Peskov's mother may have served in the security services. The Peskov family lived in a government building on Presnya. Their neighbors were KGB and foreign trade employees. The father of the Russian president's press secretary, Sergei Peskov, most likely worked in intelligence. Originally from Mukachevo, Ukraine, he graduated from the Institute of Asian and African Countries and spent many years working in the Middle East under the cover of friendship societies and solidarity committees with countries of people's democracy. This was a standard cover for Soviet intelligence officers during the Cold War. 2 marriages helped the president's press secretary advance in his career. His first wife was Anastasia, the granddaughter of Stalin's Marshal Semyon Budyonny. The second marriage played an important role in Peskov's career. He married Ekaterina, the daughter of Russian diplomat Vladimir Solotsinsky. It was Solotsinsky who, in 1999, recommended Peskov as a translator during Boris Yeltsin's visit to Turkey. After that, he was transferred to the Kremlin. This is how Peskov became the second person after Alexei Gromov responsible for Putin's media image in the Kremlin.